I'm about to go to the first ever PatternCon. Let's go pack! PatternCon, for those of you who have never heard of this, is the first convention dedicated to pattern making and fitting for garment sewing, where everything from draping, projector sewing, vintage sewing, and everything in between for garment sewing was included. And before I get started, I just want to say one thing. No matter what you hear throughout this video, it is going to be the most important information that you have about this entire experience. I had a freaking blast at PatternCon and I cannot wait for 2026. So take everything that you are hearing, knowing that I had a magical time, but there's just a couple of little things that I would love to see make this better for next year. And I am not just going as an attendee. No. I am going to be vending, I am going to be teaching, and I'm going to be hosting a game show.
So what you are about to experience is a brainchild of Patricia and I.
And this time around, I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently than I did with Sew Expo. Because this time around, I am going to be bringing just a couple bits of everything. A couple bolts of fabric, a couple zippers, a couple things of notions, trims, patterns, etc., so that folks can get a bigger feel for what's on my website, which I cannot stuff into 2 suitcases. Speaking of suitcases, let's go downstairs and get these all packed up for PatternCon. And so with these all packed up and ready to go, I will see you tomorrow morning to get on a plane.
The next day.
Good morning. It is right about 8:30 on Friday, and I am about to take these 2 massive suitcases full of things and head to the airport. And yes, we rock the sexy compression socks because we like our legs to not be blood clotty and awful. The more you know. And then with a couple of plane rides, it was time to get settled in the hotel and load in to Vendor Alley. I love when they open my bags. It's my favorite. Would you like some trim with your luggage? Now for load-in day, I will say there were a couple of things that I would really love to see fine-tuned as we went along. Because originally the vendors were informed that if you were selling there, your load-in time was from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. the night before an 8:30 a.m. conference started. Now, personally, I come from working in theater for many years, so I have a little bit of experience with turnaround time. And personally for me, the turnaround time of 10.5 hours from 10 p.m. until 8:30 a.m. the next day is a little small. And while for the first time around there weren't that many vendors, so a 4-hour window was enough for most of us to get completely set up. As the conference grows larger, I do think we will want to expand that window and push it to earlier in the day, so that way everyone can go and take a proper decompress before going into the conference proper. And also at the same time, they were starting to get the volunteers ready to go for the next couple of days. So that meant, unfortunately, that our contact points were busy dealing with the very large amount of volunteers, which is spot on 10 out of 10, and so they weren't super available to help us and guide us for loading and processes. So I think just a general refinement or an extra document just sent to the vendors with everything broken down as best as possible would be a great way to make that just a little bit easier. And I do have to pat myself on the back just a little bit here, because I was able to fully load in 2 hours, with only slight hiccups along the way. It was at this moment that she knew she f***ed up. And if you're feeling FOMO, don't worry. Any patterns and fashion plates that didn't sell will be listed on my website, backroomfinds.com, Friday, August 22nd, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. The rest will be listed throughout the weekend. And now, day 1. Good morning. It is 6:48 on the first day of PatternCon. No, I don't know why I'm awake either. It just meant I had enough time for breakfast. So it is not complimentary breakfast. It is
20 doll hairs.
And to fool around with my friend, Mrs. Depew, for just a little bit. But I will say overall it was a wonderful start.
2 minutes. Oh God. I think I did it.
Let's get this thing going. We opened the doors at 8:30 a.m. and I will say from 8:30 a.m. until the first keynote speech was given, I was busy. There was an active line. I was trying to process all these payments. Everyone was being so kind. And also, for all of you who came up to me and told me that I was the reason you even knew about this and that I was the main reason why you were here, know that I am so thankful to every single one of you. Because it warms my pattern nerd heart to know that I have found my people. I have found my fellow pattern nerds in these types of events. And the fact that my friend created an event that I got to help be such an integral part of, and that I got to meet all of you. Like, I can't express how amazing this all was. And then we kicked it off with Mimi G's recorded speech. Unfortunately, she was ill, so she didn't get to join us, but she did kick off the entire event. Next up was classes, where I did teach my first class of the day, Demystifying Vintage Sewing Patterns.
So, vintage sewing patterns. Listen, I love them. That's literally the baseline of this entire presentation, is that I freaking love them.
Where I bring in actual physical, damaged sewing patterns. Basically ones that are vastly missing pieces, so even if something were to happen to them in a class, it's really not the end of the world. And I'm showcasing what the questions are, how you can use them, and how they differ from modern patterns. And to those of you in my class, I would like to thank you for listening to my Speed Racer edition of my entire speech, where I condensed 45 minutes of material into 15 minutes because I was nervous.
Giant tears. So giant tears is the next sign that you're really going to need to be careful with your vintage patterns.
And then we spent the rest of the class answering questions, which I realize is not the balance. I am going to work on it for future versions.
All right, everybody, we just wrapped up demystifying sewing patterns, and everyone, say hello!
And after a good round of classes, it was time to go back for the provided lunch. Because while the ticket price to this event was a bit higher than what you would usually see for a standard convention, where there is a ticket price to enter, and then on top of that, each class is an extra upcharge from there. This is the type of conference where it was one ticket price for everyone, including a hot lunch each day, a snack bag, and lots of giveaways. And I will say this, the catering staff for this event specifically were amazing. Not only were they taking into account as many food allergies as possible, they also had the entire list on their phone so that way if there was someone, like me, with weird allergies, would come up and ask them what was in the food, they had a very clear and distinct answer. And after we finished our lunch, the next round was some more classes and just vendor hall enjoyment and perusal. And I will say this was another segment where I had a fair number of people. It wasn't super busy while the classes themselves were going on, but I will say at the top and tail of it, I felt very busy and like everyone was so glad to be there. Then we gathered all together and wrapped it all up for the evening. Now, one of the biggest things to note about this whole experience on day one, I will say that as a vendor, I had my tablet and my card reader just available on the Wi-Fi because it's the only way that my iPad works is to use Wi-Fi. I did not buy one with a cellular connection. So that means when the Wi-Fi is trash, I notice. And I was informed later on as to why suddenly around about 2:30 in the afternoon, my entire tablet and everything started going as slow as a zombie hunting for your brain. Also known as transactions that had taken at the beginning of the day lightning speed because I was on the hotel Wi-Fi at that point, suddenly slowed to a crawl. Which meant that most folks thankfully had brought cash, so it didn't matter for the bigger picture for me particularly, but I do know that other vendors and other teachers especially were having a big problem not being able to connect to the internet. And this is on the hotel. The Sheraton Charlotte Airport Hotel decided at 2:30 p.m. on the first day of the convention, Saturday, that we were using too much Wi-Fi. and they throttled the speed down. So let me say this clearly. Any hotel who cannot handle a 253-member convention should not be holding a convention. But I think that's enough of the ranting for now, because at the end of the evening, our room actually looked down into the courtyard, so we could actually see the line for the one singular restaurant in the hotel. And we saw it was around the corner. Because obviously most of us didn't bring cars, we flew in. There was actually 4 different countries that were represented in PatternCon. And from personal experience, on the first day, while the salad was quite tasty, the service was at a snail's pace. And so seeing that line, I had a distinct feeling that we would not be eating until 11 p.m. So instead, Aronica and I decided to utilize one of our friends, and they called in Chinese food and picked it up, and we paid them for it.
Hi, hello. I'm exhausted. I did a very bad job at vlogging today, but I hope later on Stephanie, once she explains all of this, will help you understand a bit of just how freaking awesome today was. It was so good, you guys. Oh, it was so good. And if you're watching this and you were here, I've had such an amazing time meeting you, and I can't wait for day 2, but right now, I need bed. That's what I need. Cause at 6:15, why?
And then we started with day 2.
Good morning. I thankfully have a voice today. I mean, it's a little lower because of all the talking, but it's not bad. I'm really excited to go down for day 2. I got a much better night's sleep tonight than I did last night, despite the fact that I have way more to do today. Make it make sense, but I am very excited to go day 2 of PatternCon because literally this is so much fun. The attendees are the nicest human beings. The volunteers, never been asked to have more help in my life. Not at any convention, ever. I have never met a nicer group of volunteers. And that's on Trisha for finding the best people to help with this event. But let's head downstairs, eat something. We're not doing proper breakfast this morning, absolutely not.
So instead, my wonderful friend Mrs. Depew messages me and says, hey, we have a giant tray full of biscuits and cornbread left over from Cracker Barrel. Would you like some to have goblin breakfast with us? And I said, absolutely I would. Because seriously, I wasn't going to pay them that money again. So I packed up all my stuff, I left it in my friend Mrs. Depew's room, grabbed my goblin breakfast, and headed down to get the continental coffee, which was still there at 7:45. This hotel takes away the continental coffee at 8 a.m. What? Now, I did not know this firsthand because this is what the folks that had gone back to go get other coffees had told me, but I can confirm that it was definitely gone by 11:40 when I went out, which to me is still coffee o'clock. Even in Utah, they leave it out, and the Mormons don't like caffeine. So with my mediocre coffee in hand, I head in to the ballroom. Just basically kind of straighten things up, make sure that I know what's happening, fix the trims a little bit because they were looking a little crazy, and get ready for the day. So when we started off proper at 8:30, it was again the same similar rush at the beginning, and then leading into Aronica's amazing keynote speech. And here's just a little taste of it.
Now here we have proper girl boss form in her final form. Look at this outfit. Look at this outfit. Like, stunning.
So now, again, like I said, this is something that's very, very sensitive for me. And the reason why is because so many of us have looked at images of patterns, images of clothing, images of just about anything and not found ourselves, right? It is very obvious that I am a bigger bodied person, and this is after losing 100 pounds over the past year. But it's crazy because, thank you. But it's crazy because even still, I don't always fit in the sizing, which tells me that it's not just me. How many of us have seen a really cute pattern from the Big Five, looked it up, and been like, my size isn't offered, right? It doesn't feel good. It makes us feel like there's something that is wrong with our body, right? It makes us feel like something is the matter with us. It makes us feel like everything that all of the fat shamers on the internet or when you've gone into the doctor feel like they are right, that there is something wrong with me. I have to lose weight in order to be good enough to fit into these patterns. right? And the truth of the matter is that there's nothing wrong with our bodies. There's nothing wrong with them at all, right? I was beautiful at 330 pounds. I'm beautiful now, right? My body was capable then. My body is capable now, right? Whether or not pattern designers see that, whether or not designers in the world of fashion see that, it doesn't matter.
Because yes, she did get a standing ovation. And then after that, it was time for classes around 2, which this time was my Rethrifticing class, which is where I talk about how I take 2 small garments or form-in shirts and turn them into clothing that fits me. If you're interested, there is a video on my channel where I do showcase how to do that. I will link it down below for when we're done here. Because that class was fantastic. I brought my camera and then did not turn it on. It was wonderful and lovely, and folks had brought in garments so that way we could talk about all the different ways that I saw to refashion it if they were stuck. And we got to do that with many different people. I got to showcase my favorite Deadpool dress. It was a really great class. And then after a quick provided lunch, I went over to do the silliest thing that I've ever done in my life. And honestly, please someone let me do this more. I want to do this at all events. This was so much fun. I got to host an in-person game show.
What you're about to witness is the very first Pattern Master game show. Now the question you may be asking yourself, there are actually 11 people on this stage. How in the world are 11 people gonna fit in that tiny belt? The answer, they're not.
Now this game show consisted of 3 rounds of questions that would eliminate folks who didn't get enough points. The first round being fact or flat-felled.
Drafting a sloper is the only way to get a pattern, true or false.
And all the participants were teachers who volunteered to play.
I love whoever's counting in the background. Time's up. The answer is false.
After our true or false round, it was time for tool or trickery.
Tool or trickery.
Where contestants had to write down the name of the tool in the image. And yes, there was no soundboard, so all the sound effects were left up to me and the audience.
And the answer is the pattern matcher.
The final group round was match that shape.
And in this round, our intrepid contestants, we are going to see a sketch of a garment, so you'll still need to see our projector here. And there are 3 possibilities for the pattern shape. You must write your choices of A, B, or C onto your whiteboard, and the top 2 players go to the final head-to-head round. Which one? Which one? The timer starts now. Which one is it? Oh my goodness. This one is hard, even for me. I looked at it and went, huh? Because the answer is A!
Then once we had it down to 2 contestants, it was time for the final head-to-head round of Pattern Piece Showdown.
So this is it. This is our last round. We are going to show the final design sketch of an image on our projector, so make sure you can see this. Our 2 finalists will have 90 seconds on the clock to sketch the pattern pieces they think would make the final garment.
And after an intense 90 seconds,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and... That's it. That's my...
it was time to let the audience decide who won.
Now, Jennifer, stand on up here, be proud, show the lovely audience your drawing. And now, audience, what do we think? That's it. That's a good enough. That's good enough. All right, it's a good representation. Mella.
I didn't divide it. I did it the bottom all in one, but you know what? She's right.
So Mella, show the lovely audience. Show it all around. Show it all around. Audience. All right, now hang on. Listen, I know that this hotel stopped serving coffee at like 6:30 in the morning, but I'm gonna need you to find all the energy, every scrap of caffeine that is left in your veins, and I'm gonna need you to let me tell the difference. Who thinks Jennifer? Who thinks Mella? Give me just a moment.
It was so much fun. I went up on stage and for 45 minutes, I just got to be the silliest version of myself and truly have the best time. I've never been more excited to do anything, and honestly, while there was a little bit of nerves, I felt like it was right. I felt like this was part of what I'm supposed to be doing because it was so much fun. It was live, it was in person, everybody was having a good time. The audience was having a good time. The participants were having a good time. It just felt right. I thought I was going to be terrified. I thought I was going to absolutely fall apart, completely mess it up. But I think between the years of stage management, speaking on microphones, running rehearsal rooms, and the years of doing this, talking to a camera, being personable to literally no one, so you have to amalgamate the noises in your head. That sounds weird. I think those two combined actually gave me the best chance of success. And while I'm not going to sit here and be like, I was perfect, I was not perfect. But I did have a good time, and I was trying my best to make sure everyone else had a good time too. And in that way, I think I won. And I would be remiss without thanking our incredible organizers, Trisha and Caitlin, for really pulling this off. Truly, this event would not have happened without each of you, and I am so happy and grateful that you invited me to be a part of this amazing experience. And also a big shout out to all of my patrons and members here on the channel who make videos like this possible. And then after the game show, it was time to start winding down because there was only a little bit of time left. So they were doing the last couple of raffles, they were doing the last couple of giveaways, and yes, I did raffle off $50 to my website. Actually ended up being $100 because Aronica sponsored one and I sponsored one.
We have a winner. Drum roll, please. It's Maya.
Congratulations. I'll get a picture of you guys.
We've got Karen Nelson.
All right, congratulations.
And then it was time to wrap up the last couple sales and really pack up. And because this crowd showed up so hard for me, my overflowing suitcases when I got here actually had a fair amount of room on the way home, to the point that I had to get creative about how I packed it so that the suitcases wouldn't break. And that was PatternCon 2025. But of course, I cannot leave you without the thing you're probably wondering the most. Stephanie, how much did you spend? And how much did you make? So let's break it down. So all my expenses for this convention, from hotel to flights and all the other incidentals, ended up being $1,099. And while the table fee this year was $100 for a single table, due to the marketing I helped provide, I was able to get 2 tables. However, I would not anticipate the table fees remaining the same for next year. And then between my sales and my teaching fee, I made $2,054.90, which brings my total profit to $955.90. And this means that while I wanted to donate a solid 10% to World Central Kitchen to help feed families in need, I am going to round up to an even 100 for this donation. And I really hope that this helps you decide if you're going to come to PatternCon next year, because yes, there will be a PatternCon 2026.
We're already planning, and so we are going to do a PatternCon 2026. So we are going to Atlanta next year.
And while the dates and the exact location are not known yet, keep an eye on PatternCon's Instagram, because that is where all the most up-to-date information will be when it gets figured out. And I hope that you all are sewing in chaos, and I will see you next time. Bye! And this time around, I'm going to be doing things... Nope. I'm going to be doing things and not knocking them all over. That's what I'm going to be doing. Because this time around... God... Shelf! Ruined my shot! For real? Also be prepared to cut and splice this, because my brain is not in any type of linear mode right now.